Jay Goldberg is with the advocacy group called Consumer Choice Center. So, sir, first of all, are companies like Uber facing this kind of a bylaw anywhere else that you know of?
Halifax is certainly leading the charge here, and there are certainly cities in the United States that are looking at more oversight. But if you look at what's going on in terms of Canada and Halifax specifically, Halifax has one of the most stringent requirements and set of rules for ride-sharing apps and ride-sharing companies in Canada. And so actually the regime that's in place is working really well. There aren't any complaints that we've heard from the ride-sharing companies themselves. And so I think it's certainly a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And adding more bureaucracy, more red tape is certainly not the answer. It's going to make things more expensive for riders, and it's going to make you're going to end up with fewer drivers on the road.
The city has been arguing that it's trying to bring ride-sharing companies more in line with the same kind of rules for taxis and limousine companies, for example. Why not move more in line with them?
Well, ride-sharing companies are already regulated. They have all of these regulations in place. They do its internal self-regulation, but there is the opportunity for oversight from the regional municipality of Halifax should they decide to do so. My understanding from what I've read from Uber is that there hasn't been a request for any additional oversight through the current regime of rules. But we have to look at what the consequences are here, and the consequences are rideshare apps exist to be an alternative to taxis, to be more accessible, to be more affordable, to offer better tracking, to in many cases be actually safer in terms of the tracking, in terms of the data we know about the drivers and other things. So ride sharing is meant to be an alternative, it's meant to be more convenient for consumers, and it's meant to promote more consumer choice. But again, there is that oversight already there.
So if the city does tinker with things here, how might it affect the consumer's experience?
It certainly will affect the consumer's experience in that there will be fewer drivers on the road. They will face more costs. The drivers will face more costs, and that will be passed on to the consumer. So it will end up with less choice, less convenience. And let's not forget that ride-sharing apps can be the difference between people choosing to drive after having a couple drinks or actually taking the ride-sharing app and taking the accessible route. There have been studies that show that that can be the difference. So if there's less ride sharing available, you could have more drunk drivers on the road. You can have all kinds of different possibilities. So this is certainly not a step in the right direction.
Well, can't you take a cab if you have an extra drink or two?
In theory, you can, but it's much more convenient when you have an app on your phone, when you can pinpoint your location, when you have more faith in the Uber driver or the ride-sharing driver because you have ratings, because you have tracking on the apps on your phone. These are all things that, for example, taxis simply don't offer at this time.
Some taxi companies are increasing their online availability and seeing the car coming to pick you up and that kind of thing. So they are moving in a similar direction, I suppose. And just for clarification, are you paid for by Uber in any way to have this position?
No, we're an independent organization that takes positions based on what's best for consumers. And what we're saying is that it's best for consumers to have more choice, more empowerment. And certainly, if individuals want to take a taxi, they should be more than free to do so. And if taxi companies are going to continue to innovate and become more convenient and have apps and tracking as well, then that's a possibility for consumers. So certainly that's an open possibility for them. But the bottom line is what we want to promote more consumer choice. There's already enough regulation in place in the regional municipality of Halifax, and we don't need to mess with the current system.
Do you have any sense from Uber drivers how many of them might drop out if there was to be licensing directly through the city of Halifax, for example, or any other changes to the existing system?
Well, we don't have a specific sense from individual drivers, but what we do know from other municipalities that have gone this route is that there's a possibility that, for example, drivers who are just driving for a few hours, just a single mother, for example, who's driving for a few hours when her kids are at school, just for the sake of convenience and to make a few extra dollars to make ends meet, might not make the decision to pay that the extra fee that the regional municipality is going to impose first to get the certification in the first place, and then once every 2 years to continue with that. So, because of the extra cost, you would certainly have drivers who are doing it at a more casual pace or a more casual scale, who aren't doing this as a full-time job, but as a part-time job. They might be the ones who would be the first to drop out.
Is it all that profitable for Uber drivers? I mean, what are the margins like for drivers in this city?
Well, it can make a difference. Certainly, we know that there are all kinds of drivers that are doing this as a second job. We know the state of the economy right now with affordability. That 50% of Canadians are saying they're $200 away from not being able to pay their bills. So in many cases, this is a second or third job for people to be able to do just to make ends meet and put bread and other food on the table. So this is absolutely something that the regional municipality of Halifax shouldn't be considering. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's working quite well, and the regional municipality of Halifax should essentially leave this alone.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Jay Goldberg of Consumer Choice Center, thank you so much.
Thank you.